After the raging dumpster fire that was Battlefield 2042 and the not bad but kinda disappointing Battlefield 5, I've been dying for a new, good Battlefield-style game. I mean, sure, there's games like Squad, Hell Let Loose, and I guess BattleBit for the 5 people who still play it. And while I love those games, nothing scratches the same itch that a proper Battlefield game does. I didn't exactly have high hopes going into Battlefield 6 after 2042 came out and was 2042, do I even need to explain anything? But then as more and more details started to come out about this game, I couldn't help but be cautiously interested, even if I felt like it was too good to be true. And then that trailer dropped. I sat there, watched it, and was like,
Don't
what?
Don't give me hope.
But now, after sinking quite a few hours into the beta, honestly a few too many for this being a beta, I feel like I could say they've done it. I know I shouldn't say this just because it's a beta, and I know they could still very easily drop the ball when the full game comes out, but you know what? I'm gonna say it anyway. We are so back. The last time I've had this much fun with a Battlefield game was with Battlefield 1, and that was all the way back in 2016? God, I'm getting old. I've got a few things to say about this game. Some good, some bad, so I'm just gonna take a few minutes and just yap about my thoughts on the game. Let's get right into this. Alright, first things first, the classes are back. I'm sure the last thing anybody wanted was Battlefield trying to be a hero shooter of all things. So it's good to see that the 4 main classes, Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon, are all back. While any class can use any weapon, put a pin in that, we'll be coming back to that in just a minute. The main thing each class has going for it is their perks, their gadgets, and now their main ability. For example, Recons can call in a UAV that follows them and pings enemies around it. Think kinda like a COD UAV, but not map-wide. But you can't just use these abilities whenever you want. You have to earn them first. Same story goes with your perks. The way you get them is simple, just by earning points with your squad. Once you've got a certain amount of points, you get a perk. After you get all your perks, you get your class ability. But if you and your entire squad die at roughly the same time, you lose them and you gotta get them back. I like this system. I feel like it allows for teamwork to come more naturally and rewards you and your squad for doing well, especially if you are a well-coordinated squad. Now, each class only had one ability in the beta, and I'm not sure if there's going to be more in the full game or not. There was also only one set of perks to choose from in the beta, so I'm for sure going to bet there's going to be more of those in the game as well. Alright, remember that pin I told you to put in earlier? Well, take it out, because we're coming back to that. Unlike most of the previous games in the series, any class can use any weapon they want. However, every class also gets a bonus if you use a certain kind of weapon with it. Now, there's been a very vocal group of people online who do not like this change, mostly because the older games had class-locked weapons and, in theory, it was supposed to get you to lean more to how you're supposed to play that class. But let's be honest, most people just pick their class for its guns and nothing else. Battlefield 4 is a prime example of this. How many people picked the Assault class not to heal and revive people, but specifically to run around with the AEK? For this game at the very least, I feel like class unlocked weapons works. Partially because it helps prevent the problem I just talked about, and make sure that one class isn't worse than the other just because of the guns. Also, it gives you more freedom in how you want to play that class, and that's something I can always get behind. The game feels just fine without class-locked weapons. On the topic of weapons, the gunplay in this game feels good. The guns in this game all look, sound, and feel really good to shoot. But I do have one complaint here, and it's one I really hope gets addressed before the full game comes out. Bloom. If you don't know what that is, basically your weapons become less accurate the longer you hold the trigger, or in the case of semi-auto weapons, shoot them rapidly. The idea is to get you to control your shots more and to just stop people from beating each other at long ranges like you're playing Warzone or Apex. And while I'm not a fan of Bloom, I say as somebody who loves Halo Reach, and would prefer there to be none, if they're going to keep it in the game, I feel like it needs to be toned down. Once that's taken care of, I feel like this could easily have the best gunplay in the series. Movement also feels just right in this game. Your character's walking and sprinting speed feels like it's in just the right spot, and the more advanced options you have like sliding and diving also feel good to use and are nice to have. I know there were some people who were worried that the movement was going to be like modern COD, where like half the people you fight are snorting lines of G Fuel and moving around like crackheads, but that wasn't the experience in my case. Granted, it could also be because no one's really found ways to exploit it like that yet, but still, I feel like movement's in a pretty good spot. There were only 4 maps in the beta: Liberation Peak, Siege of Cairo, Iberian Offensive, and Empire State. I liked most of the maps we got to play in the beta, except for Empire State. All the other maps, on the other hand, had good flow, a nice balance between vehicle and infantry gameplay for the ones that had them, and were generally fun to play. They all felt like they were on the small side for a Battlefield map, but I'm hoping the full game will have some that are much bigger. I like the small maps like Sand Crossing and MENs, but I don't want a whole game filled with nothing but maps like those. Weapon customization is also the best it's ever been in this series. Instead of only being able to equip a certain number of attachments, you are instead given a point budget and can add as many attachments as long as you have the points for it. As you can imagine, the stronger attachments are more expensive, while weaker ones are on the cheaper side. It's up to you if you want to load up on a bunch of cheap ones or go all in on a handful of expensive ones. It's basically how it works in Insurgency Sandstorm, but with a few more options. You got stocks, ammo types, grips, optics, all sorts of stuff to pick from. It's a good system, and one I look forward to having more fun with in the full game. To my surprise, this game ran pretty well for me. Now, I don't got a NASA supercomputer or anything, so I really gotta play with my settings in most modern games to get good frame rates. To not bore you with technical details, I'm just gonna flash my specs on screen now. I ran the game on mostly high settings with a couple turned down to medium or low, and was consistently getting around 70 FPS. A friend of mine on a lower end system was able to play the game around 60 FPS on mostly medium settings, and then another with similar specs said they were getting around the same performance. We were kinda shocked that a modern AAA game was actually somewhat optimized and actually playable on older hardware, unlike some other recent AAA games. The fact the game looks this good and runs as well as it does makes me very happy. But just in case the game runs like pure ass when the full game comes out, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a runs on my machine sticker. Your mileage may vary. Speaking of presentation, it's what you would expect from a Battlefield game. It looks and sounds amazing. Gunshots, explosions, soldier dialogue all come together to make for an immersive experience, and we can't forget the icing on the cake either: destruction. The destruction in this game is the best it's been in this series in a long time, and it looks amazing. A little over-exaggerated? Okay, maybe. I don't think an M320 can cause this much damage as depicted in this game, but you know what? It looks cool, so I'll let it slide. This game absolutely nails its aesthetic. I just hope they don't ruin the game's aesthetic with, like, Nicki Minaj, or Beavis and Butthead, or whatever whack-ass crossover COD does whenever this video comes out. Okay, at this point you probably think I'm going to keep glazing this game, especially if you're an r/Battlefield user. But now let's talk about the things I really didn't like about this game. I already talked about Bloom, so I'm not going to repeat myself again, but something that I do think needs to change, like, right now is the UI. Good lord, this UI is terrible. It's like they decided to copy the new Modern Warfare 2's knockoff Hulu UI. It feels so cluttered and hard to find stuff in. This is a game UI, not a streaming service. This UI really needs to be streamlined. I was also really disappointed with how vehicles felt in this game. Doubly so as somebody who loved playing tanks and helicopters in the older games. It feels like they're trying to get you to play third person for ground vehicles. I mean, the sensitivity settings for ground vehicles only take effect if you're playing in third person or you're in the gunner seat. If you want to play in first person, like 99% of people do, your sensitivity might as well be in the negatives. I'm not sure if this is intentional, but this really needs to change. Tankers are also given a couple different ammo types that they can swap between, which on paper sounds like a really good idea. But in practice, there wasn't a reason to use anything besides the multi-purpose round. If they want anyone to actually use the armor-piercing rounds, they need to make them much more effective. I also want to mention that the AP rounds didn't consistently work for me, which made me stick to the multi-purpose round the moment I caught on to this. For helicopters, I don't know how to explain it, but they just didn't feel good, like, at all. A lot of people say they felt like how they did in 2042, which was terrible from what I understand. I didn't play a lot of that game. From what I heard, the helicopters will be getting a full overhaul, so here's hoping they're much, much better in the full game. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I have always been terrible with jets in these games. As you can guess, I really didn't think to give them a try, so I'm going to let people who are much more qualified to speak on that topic do so. While I liked most of the maps in the beta, they felt small, especially for a Battlefield game. I really hope the ones that weren't in the beta are much bigger. This is Battlefield. Give us some of those big open maps to go alongside the small and chaotic ones. But what is hands down the biggest concern I have with this game at the moment is the class balance. Assault feels way too strong, between having stims that give you a few buffs, a pretty strong buff just for carrying an assault rifle, a very strong perk tree, which was the only one in the beta, mind you, and on top of all that, being able to carry 2 primary weapons, including shotguns. Yeah, this is definitely a bit much. This really needs to be toned down. Engineer doesn't really do much on maps that don't have vehicles, but if Vics are present, they can counter both ground and air vehicles at the same time. You can carry a rocket launcher for tanks and IFVs, and then you can also carry a surface-to-air missile launcher for helicopters and jets. I don't know about you, but I don't think they should be able to counter both of them at the same time, or at least not without some degree of skill involved. BF4 SRA, my beloved. Support feels like they're in a good spot. I really don't have anything to say about them. Recon might have a few too many ways to spot people between having things like the motion sensor and being able to call in a UAV, but at the same time, outside sniping, that's kind of the point of the class. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's overboard, it's definitely nothing like the assault class. While having a firing range for guns is very nice to have, and a very welcome addition, I think we could also really use a test range for vehicles. I remember having to learn how to fly helicopters via trial by fire back in Bad Company 2. I don't want anyone else to go through that same pain either. Hey, post-editing Valid here. During the second weekend of the beta, I ran into something that I didn't on the first. There were a few times where my CPU usage skyrocketed to over 100%. Especially whenever I was playing on Empire State. That should not be happening, like, ever. From what I heard, this was apparently a bug in 2042 as well, so I'm really hoping this bug gets fixed, because the last thing I want to see happen is somebody get their computer fried because of this game. And with that concludes everything I have to say about the beta. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with it. I haven't had this much fun with a Battlefield game, let alone a AAA shooter, in a long time. I really hope they don't drop the ball with a full game. Here's hoping for the best. Now before I close out this video, I just want to go ahead and give a big thank you for watching. I haven't made a proper YouTube video in God knows how long. So I'm still fairly new to recording, editing, all that fun stuff, so I apologize for the amateur production this video will more than likely have. I'm hoping to make more videos where I just ramble about whatever game or topic I feel like in the future, so if that sounds like your thing, then feel free to stick around. And with that, I will hopefully catch y'all again in the next one. Peace out.